Lila was a girl with eyes as bright as buttons and hair the color of sunshine. She lived in a little cottage right at the edge of the Whispering Woods. It wasn't just any old woods, oh no, the trees there had leaves that shimmered with all the colors of the rainbow, and they were always rustling and whispering secrets to one another. Lila loved the woods more than anything. She was a very curious girl, you see, and she always wondered what amazing adventures might be hiding just beyond the big oak tree that stood like a friendly giant at the entrance to the forest. She felt a pull towards the woods, a special kind of magic that called to her heart every single day. One sunny morning, while she was helping her mother pick bright red strawberries in the garden, a little black cat with emerald green eyes appeared on the garden wall. This was no ordinary cat. He sat up straight, washed his face with a paw, and then he spoke. "Good morning, Lila," he said, in a voice that sounded like tiny bells tinkling. "It is a fine day for an adventure, isn't it?" Lila gasped, dropping her basket of strawberries. A talking cat. She had always hoped for something magical to happen, and here it was, right in her very own garden, looking as smart as you please. The cat introduced himself as Jasper. He explained that he was a guardian of the Whispering Woods and he had been watching Lila for a long time. He knew she had a brave and kind heart, the sort of heart that was needed for a very important task. Jasper told her that the heart of the forest, a magical spring that kept all the trees and flowers alive and full of color, had stopped flowing. The whispers of the trees were growing faint, and their beautiful rainbow leaves were starting to turn a dull, sad gray. The magic of the woods was fading away, and it needed a brave adventurer to help bring it back. Lila did not hesitate for a moment. An adventure! A real, proper adventure to save the woods she loved so much. Her heart thumped with excitement, not fear. "I'll help!" she declared, her button-bright eyes shining with determination. Jasper the cat purred, a sound like a tiny rumbling engine. He knew he had chosen the right person for the job. He hopped down from the wall, his tail swishing back and forth like a little black flag. "Then we must be on our way," he announced. "The journey will be long and full of puzzles, but with your courage I am sure we will succeed." And so, Lila's grand adventure began. Jasper led Lila past the friendly giant oak tree and deep into the Whispering Woods. The further they went, the quieter the trees became, and their leaves looked more and more like dusty gray paper. It was a sad sight indeed. Jasper explained that they needed to find the source of the trouble, but the path was hidden by old magic. To find their way, they first needed a special object, the glimmering compass. It was not a compass that pointed north, oh no. This compass pointed to whatever your heart truly desired. It was kept by the flutterbys, tiny mischievous creatures who were half butterfly, half pixie, and they loved to play games. They soon arrived at a clearing filled with giant glowing mushrooms. Flitting between the mushroom caps were the flutterbys, their wings sparkling like tiny stained glass windows. They giggled and chattered in high-pitched voices. An older flutterby, with wings the color of a sunset, flew down to meet them. "So you seek the glimmering compass?" she chirped. "We do love a good game. If you wish to have it, you must play hide and seek with us. You must find our queen, Queen Luna, who is the best hider of all. If you find her before the sun sets behind that big mushroom, the compass is yours to borrow." Lila thought this sounded like a wonderful game. She was very good at hide and seek. The flutterbys all scattered, their giggles echoing through the clearing as they hid among the flowers and behind the mushroom stems. Lila looked around carefully. She didn't just run about wildly. She used her curious eyes to spot a trail of sparkling dust near a patch of bluebells. That must be a clue. She followed the trail, peeking behind leaves and under toadstools, her heart full of fun and excitement. Jasper trotted beside her, his green eyes scanning everything, offering quiet words of encouragement. She searched and searched, finding many giggling flutterbys but not their queen. The sun was beginning to dip lower, and the shadows of the giant mushrooms grew long. Lila stopped and thought very hard. Where would a queen hide? She would hide somewhere special, somewhere beautiful. Her eyes fell upon the largest, most magnificent moonflower in the clearing, its petals just beginning to unfurl in the twilight. Tiptoeing over, she peeked inside the soft white petals. There, sleeping soundly on a pillow of pollen, was Queen Luna, a tiny, shimmering crown on her head. The flutterbys cheered and gave her the glimmering compass, a beautiful golden object that shone with a soft, warm light. With the glimmering compass now in her hand, Lila held it tight and thought very hard about finding the problem with the spring. The needle on the compass spun around and then pointed steadily towards a dark, rocky part of the forest she had never seen before. Jasper nodded gravely. "That way leads to the cave of Barnaby the gnome," he whispered. "He guards the path to the River of Stars, which feeds the magical spring. But he is always very, very grumpy, and loves to cause trouble for travelers by blocking the way with a big rock." They followed the compass and soon came to a large cave with a huge round boulder blocking the entrance. Sitting on a smaller rock beside it was a gnome with a long white beard and a bright red, pointy hat. He had a very cross look on his face and was tapping his foot impatiently. Well, what do we have here?" he grumbled, his voice like stones rubbing together. "More visitors to bother me. The path is closed. Go away. I am far too busy being grumpy to let anyone pass." He crossed his arms and scowled, looking like the grumpiest gnome in the whole wide world. Lila, however, was not frightened by his grumpy face. She was curious. Why was he so grumpy? She walked closer and said in her kindest voice, "Good afternoon, Mr. Barnaby. It is a lovely day, isn't it? That is a very fine red hat you are wearing." The gnome blinked in surprise. No one had ever been polite to him before. They usually just demanded that he move the rock. A tiny bit of the grumpiness left his face. It is an all-right hat, I suppose," he muttered, trying very hard to keep his scowl in place, but it was wobbling. "I can tell you are very clever," Lila continued, her voice full of honesty. "Jasper told me you like puzzles. We need to get past, but we will only go if you allow it. Will you give us a riddle to solve? If we get it right, will you let us pass?" Barnaby the gnome puffed out his chest. He did love riddles. His eyes twinkled with mischief. "Very well," he boomed. "I have a mouth, but never speak. I have a bed, but never sleep. What am I?" Lila thought for a moment, her brow furrowed, then her face lit up. "A river!" she cried. The gnome's grumpy face broke into a huge grin. "Correct! A deal is a deal!" With a mighty heave he rolled the big rock aside, revealing the path. Beyond the gnome's cave, the path opened up to the most magical sight Lila had ever seen. It was the River of Stars. It wasn't filled with water, but with a flowing, swirling liquid light that looked just like the night sky, full of twinkling stars. But something was wrong. In the middle of the river, a large, dark, thorny vine had grown, creating a dam. It was blocking the beautiful starlight from flowing downstream to the magical spring. This was why the woods were losing their color and their whispers. The vine seemed to pulse with a sad, dark energy, and it was getting bigger. Lila knew she had to get rid of the thorny vine, but it looked sharp and dangerous. She couldn't possibly pull it out with her hands. She looked at the glimmering compass, which was still glowing softly in her palm. Then she looked at the grumpy but now happy gnome Barnaby and the wise cat Jasper. They were her friends, and they had helped her get this far. She realized that she didn't have to solve this problem all by herself. Bravery wasn't just about doing things alone. It was also about asking for help when you needed it. It was about working together. "Barnaby," she said, turning to the gnome, "your hands are so strong from rolling that big rock. Could you help us pull the vine?" Then she turned to the cat. "Jasper, your eyes are so sharp. Can you find the root of the vine, its weakest spot?" Jasper immediately spotted the heart of the thorny tangle, a dark knot right in the center. Barnaby, happy to be useful and to show off his strength, waded into the gentle river of stars, grabbed the vine, and with a great heave-ho he pulled with all his might, while Lila pointed to the spot Jasper had found. With a loud snap, the thorny vine broke free. Instantly, the river of stars began to flow properly again, a brilliant cascade of twinkling light rushing downstream. As they walked back out of the cave, they could already hear the trees of the whispering woods beginning to rustle and whisper happily once more. The gray leaves were already regaining their beautiful rainbow shimmer. Lila felt a warm, happy feeling spread all through her. She had been brave and curious, but she had also learned that the best adventures are the ones you share with friends. The woods were safe, all thanks to a brave little girl, a talking cat, and a grumpy gnome who wasn't so grumpy after all.